Good morning, everyone. You are watching Barnstable this morning. This morning, I am at the Hyannis Fire Department, joined by Chief Harold Brunelle and Deputy Chief Dean Melanson. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Sara, for coming over this morning. Appreciate it.
One thing we wanted to talk about today was you guys are actually putting on the ballot a second proposal for a new station. Talk to me a little bit first about the need for a new station.
Well, it's been on our website. The station was built in 1965, and back then they did about 500 calls a year, and it was mostly all volunteer force, and it was never designed with what we're doing these days, which is over 6,000 calls. We have 54 uniformed personnel and about 6 civilian staff in the building on a regular basis. The physical size of the apparatus is about almost 3 times the size of apparatus back in the 50s and 60s, and it's just torn everything up. The floors and the aprons were never designed for the weight of the apparatus, and of course now we're doing emergency medical services, and we weren't at the volume that we were at today back when they designed this, so now we have contamination issues that we have to address.
And talking about the contamination issues, I know, gentlemen, you have both spoken about some of the systems that have started to fail within the building because it is dated. Right. So raw sewage has actually started to back up at times in the station. Talk to me a little bit about those problems.
Yeah, it's just the whole infrastructure of the facility is, really tired, and we've replaced a lot of things, and the things we haven't replaced need to be replaced now. In fact, as chief of the department, one of the things I've been pushing for with this new proposed facility is to try to ensure that we have it made out of brick, because it's the only thing in this building that we haven't had to repair or replace. It's 50 years old and it's held up just fine. Everything else is crumbling around us.
Great, and wanted to ask you, Deputy Chief Melanson, talk to me a little bit about some of the area, well, first of all, let's talk a little bit about the quantity of calls you guys make. You're actually the 6th busiest station in the state of Massachusetts. Put that in perspective for us. How does that compare to other stations across the Cape?
Well, the Hyannis Fire District with the one station is the 2nd busiest fire department on Cape Cod. Yarmouth Fire is just slightly busier than us, within 100 runs of the total volume, a little over 6,000 runs a year. And so that means with their 3 stations, they're doing just 100 or so calls more than us. The Hyannis Fire Station right here is busier than all the 5 fire stations combined in the town of Falmouth, all of the fire stations in the town of Dennis, everywhere else on Cape. This one station is busier than that.
Including the 100 square mile of the town of Plymouth.
So this station is really,
7 stations.
Right, this station is really more comparable to the Plymouth station, so to speak.
Well, they have 7 stations, they're 100 square miles. We have 1 station in 9 square miles, and we're busier than they are.
So this station is more comparable to a firehouse in the city of Boston.
Yeah, there's only 1 station in Boston, I think, that's busier than this station.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are in the bay, so to speak. We're really crammed in here. I mean, you can't really even move. There's really no place to put the gear. There's no gear room, which actually can slow you down when you're heading out to a call. Explain how a gear room could even pick up your speed time or reaction time when it comes to a call.
What the new station has in its design is a flow path. So if the firefighters are in the training room, or they're eating lunch, or they're dealing with the public, or they're wherever they are in the building, the flow path from them to come out to the apparatus floor is through and past their gear station. So whether they're picking up a coat because of inclement weather to get on an ambulance, or they're putting on their fire gear, they're going to come down, go through that gear station, and go directly out on the truck. Today, they may have to pass the truck that they're actually going to get on, go to get their gear, and then come back. So it was laid out for a different time in a different manner, and it's been adjusted.
Clustered together, which makes it very difficult.
They're here on the
just physically to get their gear on, because they're banging into one another.
Yeah. One thing I also wanted to address during our interview today is, like I said, we're all crammed in here. You have a lot of vehicles in this space. And to get, say, a water rescue vehicle or equipment out, you actually have to move a bunch of fire trucks out of the way to get that happen, which really, again, would slow down your response time. Talk to me a little bit about what a new station would do for that response time and really help you to access that equipment.
Well, as the deputy mentioned, he was talking about flow for the personnel. That's one of the things we're trying to integrate into the new facility, is the same for the apparatus. And we have a saying that the architects shared with us, the design of fire station, the only thing that should be on the apparatus floor is wheels and feet. That's for safety purposes and also efficiency. So as you look around here, you see all kinds of things that aren't just wheels and feet, which is people and apparatus. And the flow would be going out one door, and it's what you call a drive-through bay. So it's very, very efficient and safe. And you have extra room in between the apparatus for the personnel getting on and off the equipment. You'll notice when you look around in here, one of the new modern things that we've done nowadays is we put these exhaust hoses in. They were finding out throughout the United States that firefighters were dying from toxins, of course, from fires. One of the biggest causes was the diesel fumes. So we've installed these exhaust hoses now, which are very nice. It keeps us healthier. The walls used to be black in here when I was a young firefighter from the fumes. But now we have these exhaust hoses. The problem is there's no room between the trucks. So it makes it very difficult, especially with all your gear on, to physically get from there onto the truck and out the door in a timely manner.
Just to do the service checks on many of the vehicles, they have to pull the vehicle outside just to open a compartment and be able to actually just make sure the equipment's up to speed.
Yeah, well, the newer truck that we have here, as an example, has a roll-up door. That's new. Our old trucks, like this one here, all have compartment doors that open out. We couldn't open the doors on the compartments. We had to pull the truck outside so we could just check the equipment inside the truck. If it was a rainy day, we had a hard time just checking the tools and equipment
And
on the truck.
as you mentioned, if we were to have a water rescue event, the ladder truck has to be pulled out so the dive truck can go. Ambulances and service vehicles need to be pulled out as a minimum so we can get the small boat out.
That's
So
very
it's
time consuming and really can slow down that response time. You know, thinking about, you're not just crowded in here either.
No.
When we walked in to greet you today, looking around your office, no offense, but it was a little cramped,
No,
and
it is.
definitely
is.
looks like you need a little bit more storage space. There's really not a lot of room either for training. Talk to me about what the new station would do for you in terms of the office space, so to speak, in the station.
Well, again, when the station was built in '65, we had a full-time chief, a dispatcher would be here, and we had 2 day people, firefighters that worked only in the day, and then they went home at night. That was it. That was all in the building. Now we have a firefighting crew of 12 personnel, plus the day staff, which is the deputy, myself, emergency medical, and fire prevention. And then we have the civilian staff, which is the clerks and the executive assistants. So just the physical people in the building was never designed for that. And then the sheer volume of the business that we do with fire prevention alone, with all the good thing is all the building and construction that goes on in downtown Hyannis keeps the fire department extremely busy, just with plans review and code enforcement and all those things. The deputy can really touch on that. Just the hospital alone, we could have one person assigned just to the hospital almost, because it's always undergoing transformations down there. So that's a good thing. Downtown Hyannis is busy. That keeps us really busy.
Let's talk a little bit about the vote. The vote happened in March. Voters rejected that. There were a couple reasons that were mentioned mainly. One was cost. Let's talk a little bit about what you have done at this point to sort of reduce cost before you bring it back to voters.
Yeah, well, we clearly heard from the citizens that most of the people are completely behind us. They know that we're in desperate need of a new facility. They want us to have one, and they want to support us. But we had a visual problem with the other one. It had a third floor component to it, which originally had a good idea with the design of it, but as the progress went along, it had a perception problem, number one. So the people thought it was way too big, and they wanted it to be scaled back. And of course, the cost as well. So what we did after, we had a good vote, but we did not reach the 2/3 majority. So we know that we have to work harder. So we went back to the drawing board and we looked at everything. Because we really had worked hard on that other project. We didn't think we'd be able to accomplish. But what the architects, listening to us, listening to the voters, they looked at every single thing again. And we said, that third floor has to go. How can we do it? So they did it. They did a great job working with my staff. And they got the third floor off of there. They got just shy of $1 million off the cost. Over 5,000 square feet is taken out of the building. There is no frills in this building whatsoever. It has everything we need, it'll do the job, but there are no frills on it.
Also, another thing you have done, decision the building committee has made, is to sort of sell off a couple pieces of property to put towards the cost of the building. How much do you expect that to reduce the cost?
They're estimating, we had the land appraised, and they're estimating that between $1.5 to $2 million possibly we could get for the two pieces of property. So that'll get the cost down even more. So that we're hoping to get it under $17 million by the time we're all said and done.
Great, and then you guys are hoping to get a vote scheduled for, I think, July 1st, hopefully at this point. Well, also, before I let you go, just want to say one more thing. You guys are actually inviting residents, if they have any questions about the station, you're actually inviting residents to come and you will give them a tour.
Absolutely, Sarah. Thanks for asking. Yes, because we found before the March 5th vote that all the citizens that come in, within a couple of minutes of being here, they understand the need clearly. And we'd love to have the citizens come in because, you know, unfortunately, usually when they see us and meet with us, it's not at a good time. It's for a bad reason, you know. And we'd love to have the citizens come in for a good reason. Just come in, meet us, look around, see what we deal with, and learn a little bit about the fire department as well while they're here. So they can call me anytime, call me directly, stop in and visit. We'll be happy to give the citizens a tour. I'll go on the website, hyannisfire.org, because we have a lot of additional information about the project on there.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. I really appreciate it. My guests this morning were Fire Chief Harold Brunelle and Deputy Chief Dean Melanson. For Barnstable This Morning, I'm Sara Mannal.